Welcome to the Gigs Podcast, live from the conference at Lititz, presented by Shore. I'm your host, Nikki Sanz, founder and CEO of Gigs, the professional career platform for the live event industry. This is a special series where we get to interview the very best in the touring and live event industry that are attendees and speakers here at the conference at Lititz. So we'll hear from the good, the bad, the ugly, and the unreal moments of life gigging and lessons learned on the road right here at Lititz. A big thank you to Shore for providing these amazing microphones, and thank you to the conference here at Lititz for making this all happen. We are now joined by Mike Bolton, Managing Director at Go for Wardrobe and former tour manager for Adam K. He also did lighting and sound. He's done a lot. With a wealth of experience in live events and touring and wardrobe, Mike brings unique insights into the behind-the-scenes ops that make shows run seamlessly. Mike, welcome to the Gigs Podcast.
Hello.
Thank you for
having me here.
Thank you for being here. I want to just dive right in with your start. What got you here? Where are you from? And you started in lighting and sound, wardrobe, or tour management?
Lighting and sound.
Let's go.
I actually started, I'm from a little town in northeast England called Middlesbrough. I actually started in a theatre, and I still remember the first day that I walked onto stage for the first time. And I remember walking through the green room door, and there was a show loading in. And I remember looking around on stage, up at the lighting bars that were flying in and out. It was only a small theatre, so no truss. And I just remember thinking, wow, what is this? What is this world that's going on here? It was just like nothing that I'd ever seen, ever before. So I started working at the theatre, just going in, helping out whenever I wasn't at school, because I started at the age of 15, which is very much looked down upon these days. But yeah, and then just worked my way through. There was another venue in town, a local town hall, which used to be quite popular in the 90s and the early 2000s. Quite a few big acts went through there, and I ended up working down there just as a local on local gigs there, and that was kind of my route in, predominantly lighting and sound. And the way that I got into wardrobe, which is where I live now.
Oh yeah.
That was, I met my wife in 2010. We've been together 15 years, coming up 15 years.
Wow.
And she works in wardrobe.
Oh my gosh.
And we worked on tour together.
Well, hold on. How long were you doing lighting and sound before you got on tour? You got to go back.
So I've been doing lighting and sound since, as I say, I started going in at the age of 15. Okay. First paid job was at 16, went on the books at 16, paid from 16, through till my last lighting job was last year.
No.
So I've always kind of done lighting.
Okay.
Yeah, more so than sound.
Oh, okay, so this never stopped. And you were touring, so you started in venues and then you went into touring.
Correct, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
What did you like better, lighting or sound?
Lighting design. So I did quite a bit. I never made it, unfortunately. Not onto big shows.
Got
which
it.
Kind of something that I kind of have a bit of a regret about, that I never tried to push that a bit further, but it just didn't happen.
You're destined to be in wardrobe.
I think so.
Okay, so we're there, 2010. You meet your wife. What tour are you on?
We actually were working for an opera company, weirdly. the largest touring opera company in Europe, actually,
wow.
Welsh National Opera. And yeah, we met in 2010. I was one of the touring electricians. She was working in wardrobe, dressing principal ladies, as she still does now, just in a different genre. Yeah, and that's kind of how we met, and we toured together for a year or two, I forget now, and then she went off more into towards the music side of things. I stayed in the opera for a little while, and then kind of branched out from there.
Was the romance on the road? What happened there? How does that happen? I mean, I love to hear when two people get married that are in the industry and stay in the industry. That is super cool to hear.
Yeah, I mean, we used to hang out together. You know, we were very much. It was a different time. There was quite a strong drinking culture, shall we say, at the opera. So we spent a lot of time together in a social setting. Anyway, you know, we spent a lot of time together in pubs drinking.
Yes.
And then I used to hang out in wardrobe as well during the day rather than hanging about on stage. You know, once the show was in, it was kind of, I used to just go up, and I've always kind of liked the female energy. Mm-hmm. I don't know, it's always something that I've always felt quite comfortable in. You know, it's kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So you're hanging out in wardrobe because you kind of like a girl, and then you come to find that you really enjoy wardrobe.
Yeah. Well, how that kind of happened. I mean, looking back now, I remember being at secondary school, which different for the US.
Is that middle school?
Age 11.
Okay. All right.
So 11,
12. Yes.
So sorry,
Kind of.
I'm not sure on there. But yeah, I remember, I always remember one of my favourite art lessons that we used to have was designing fashion items, fashion garments. And now I think back to that and I'm like, oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
And would you look at that?
It makes sense. But I suppose from the town that I kind of came from, you know, a little northeast working class town, there was no route. You know, there was no route for somebody like me from the background that I was from, who was really ever going to get into doing anything fashion-wise.
Yeah.
There just wasn't. You know, it's not Billy Elliot. You know, Billy Elliot for fashion. Mm-hmm. So yeah, looking back, I've always followed fashion as well. I've always been keen on it, even when I didn't have the money for it. Yeah. So it was always something that I was interested in. Mm-hmm. And then with Hannah, my wife, you know, with the job that she did, I was spending a lot more time around her. When she was on tour, I was going in, you know, having a look through all the wardrobe cases, having a look at all the costumes, seeing what was there and seeing all these amazing, you know, one-off pieces. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But then I think the moment that kind of, there were a few moments, there were, I think, 3 pivotal moments when I kind of decided that I wanted to go towards the wardrobe side of things and go for wardrobe.
Yes.
And those 3 key moments, they all involved Hannah. Because there was one time she came home, I remember, and she was working for a big artist whose name I won't mention.
Okay.
But she was working for a big artist, and they'd had someone working on a very expensive ball gown, and ended up ruining it. And it was a $12,000 gown, and it was done, totally irretrievable. And it was a local, so a local stitcher. So at that point, I was kind of like, oh, what we really need to do is kind of, we need to have a crewing company that like basically just supplies local stitchers, local wardrobe assistants, but good people. Yes. People who we vet, people who we know can do the job.
Right.
Rather than just going to a crewing company who, with the best will in the world, they don't know what people who work in wardrobe need.
Right.
So that was one moment. There was another moment where we were at the MetLife Stadium, and I was sat in there. I wasn't on that tour, but I was sat in wardrobe, and Hannah had been sent two locals who were both women, but they were female riggers. So they came in their harnesses, and they were like, yeah, we've been sent here. And I was like, why? Well, we've been told that you need local wardrobe. Yeah, but you don't do wardrobe. You're riggers. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
So that was another time.
No.
The third.
So to clarify, they're being sent to go help with wardrobe because they're women.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I don't know how to stitch a thing. I would. Love that. Love that. That's enough. Number 2. Copy that.
Number 3 was Hannah was looking for a touring wardrobe person for a tour that she was on, and she didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
She didn't know where to find someone. And that was the final one, because that was the point in time we'd kind of talked about it for a couple of years, and we were like, do you know what? This is needed. Like somebody that people can go to, production managers, tour managers, artist managers, who need people like Hannah, but don't know where to find them.
Right.
And with the best will in the world, production managers, tour managers, and artist managers don't usually know what is needed in the wardrobe department.
Absolutely.
Because why would they?
Yeah.
It's not where they come from. They generally come from audio, might come from lighting, might come from stage management. So, and all of those things kind of put together, it kind of led me down the wardrobe path. And it was like, no, this is what we're doing. This is the direction we're going to take. This is the path. All that time I was still working technically. So I was still doing lighting, sound, tour managing, little bits of production assisting, production coordinating. I was also doing some little bits of wardrobe stuff, nothing integral, until there was kind of more, there were a couple of jobs that came up where they really needed someone in a supervisory position, but rather than a hands-on, it was more budget related. And I'm good with money.
There we go. Aha.
I'm good with money. And that was kind of where I found myself within wardrobe, more than the actual, the nuts and bolts of like making and the maintenance of, which I'm not great at. I mean, I'm good with a steamer.
There you go.
These days, I've been taught
and a style, I'm sure, to style.
Yeah.
Where do you? I want to really dive into what actually the role of a wardrobe manager on a tour would look like, or a local hire. Like, what does that actually involve?
So there can be a misconception with wardrobe, because you hear wardrobe, and the first thing that you kind of go to is styling, costume design, that kind of thing. Totally different roles, really, because what they are is they're very much a part of the creative process, and they're the ones who a stylist will be somebody who pulls looks from PR companies, or they might go out and shop for a look for an artist, for a band. Costume designer little bit more advanced, they'll sit there and they'll actually come up with fresh designs for the artist and fresh looks for the artist.
For the show and for the design of the show.
Exactly.
Interesting. So that makes sense. You're a lighting designer. It makes sense to be in really the full design of,
Yes.
of an actual performance.
Yeah. But then wardrobe management is a bit different because it varies from tour to tour. So on a large scale tour, what that wardrobe manager will do is they will make sure that the department runs on a daily basis. And that could be dealing with the logistics of how you get things from A to B. So there might be a look in Paris that needs to be in LA tomorrow. How do we get that from there to there? They will deal with making sure that the anything that needs maintaining properly is maintained properly. They may have to look after the local crew that get called, the local wardrobe crew that get called.
What does a local wardrobe crew do?
So a local wardrobe crew, they're additional people that you pick up in each city. And so basically your core crew, you may have on a big tour again, you may have the head of wardrobe and you may have 4 touring wardrobe assistants with them. And they just stay with the tour forever.
Wow.
As long as the tour's there.
So they're steaming, they're making
Steaming, mending. Any alterations that need doing. New looks keep coming in all the time these days, which didn't used to happen, but this is a thing now. It's become a lot more in the social media age. It's become a lot more important that artists are constantly evolving their looks.
Got it.
So yeah, but what locals are is there will be additional local crew that get picked up at each venue. So if you're on a 15 tour date run, a 2-date leg, each city you may ask for 3 local wardrobe assistants.
Yep.
And what they will do is they might help you with laundry, they might help you with running things backwards and forwards from stage. You try and keep them away from anything integral towards the show, but sometimes needs
You need it.
Needs are needs.
Yeah.
Or you may need a local stitcher.
Yeah.
So somebody who can come in and actually do the mending, the fixing, making sure that everything, alterations, things like that. So yeah, the local wardrobe assistants, they're more there just as additional support
Yes.
for the touring crew.
And so you can find these locals and the best to hop on a tour from what you created.
Yeah, well, we originally started in the UK because that's where we were from. We live in LA now, but we started in the UK because that's where we were, and we realised that there was a need there and we could fulfil it quickly. Over here is a little bit more of a challenge.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you can imagine, there's a little bit more.
A little bit more space over here. A little bit more ground to cover.
Well, it's not necessarily that, but I think it's over here. There's unions are a lot more of a thing over here, whereas in the UK we don't really have to negotiate around unions so much. So that's the thing. But yeah, so we realised that UK was going to be our entry point, but our end goal was always getting people on tours and also hitting the major markets, which is now what we are transitioning over towards.
Congrats. That's incredible. That's what filling a need. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so you're in a place. What year did you start this? For wardrobe.
We started in 2000. And our first job was November 2017.
Okay.
And we really started gaining traction in 2018. One of the production managers for Live Nation UK, he really saw the benefit in what we were doing, and he really got behind us and gave us a really big push, which was really, really helpful, and opened up a lot of doors to us quite quickly, which was brilliant, because without that we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are now. So yeah, 2017 was the first. 2018 we really gained a bit of traction. 2019 we were running on all cylinders. 2020 was going to be the big one, and then it was not the big one. It was really shaping up to be massive for us, and as so many companies, it really took the wind out of our sails.
Man, were you in the UK still, or were you already in America by that point?
We were still in the UK, which, to be honest, looking back now, was probably a blessing in disguise. We were actually planning on moving over in 2020. And we kind of had everything lined up, and then it went away. But actually, it was probably
divine timing there.
It was probably not, with the way that the situation was, it probably wasn't the worst thing that happened. I think we'd have struggled a lot more if we'd have been over here in our first year, and then COVID had hit. Totally. I don't know how we would have got through that.
Right. So you make it through that.
Yeah.
When do you start? And I want to be sure that I'm clear about this. You're helping place wardrobe people onto tours?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we are now.
Yeah.
We weren't then.
Okay.
But that was always the end goal.
Got it.
Now we do.
Staffing.
So, yeah, exactly.
Fabulous.
So the end goal was always going to be that we were going to be a service for tour managers, production managers, artist managers, to hook them up with the right people that they actually need for the tour. Because we don't just, the way that we operate and the way that we work is we don't just provide somebody who, because they're available. Because we don't think that that's actually beneficial to you as our client. We don't think it's beneficial to the artist. And we also don't think it's beneficial to the person that we're putting on tour, because in a way we would be setting them up for failure. Because if you're not very good and you are in the artist's world, generally you do not last. Generally.
Out of there.
Yeah.
So you're doing the vetting, you're doing that, your people are finding you are finding them, you vet, you place. And are you guys still gigging? Are y'all still going out and doing it?
Hannah is. She's
You're
actually
managing the business.
Yeah. Hannah's still out there now. She's in rehearsals at the moment for a stadium tour for next year.
Can you share who?
For Shakira.
Ooh.
So she's in rehearsals for that at the moment. She also, as well as being head of wardrobe, she also dresses as well. So she is also a star dresser. That's not always the case. The two jobs can actually be different jobs, but it just so happens that's kind of Hannah's specialty, is she kind of does both jobs.
That's too cool.
Yeah.
So can you share over the years who, what types of artists and tours? Because my thought immediately is female artists.
Yes.
But would it also be opera or like Cirque du Soleil or any of those?
Well, with Hannah specifically.
Yeah.
So with Hannah specifically, who she worked for over the years, she started on a Madonna Sticky and Sweet tour just as a touring wardrobe assistant. I say just, as though it's like nothing. As a touring wardrobe assistant. And she always says the woman who gave her a big break on that, Lana, was her fairy godmother. Like, that's what she refers to Lana as. And so, she started on Sticky and Sweet in 2009. Lana also worked for Kiss. And
that's some costumes right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maintenance. Yeah, that's some hardware. So Hannah ended up going and doing that. Lana was like, I think you're going to like this gig. And I'm looking to hand it off. So she went and did Kiss. She was with them through till, I think the last show was actually 2021 with Kiss.
Right.
So she was with them for a long time, but she also did Aerosmith for a leg of a tour. And then that got cancelled, so she didn't go back. And then she was with Beyonce for years as well. And started.
That's some costumes.
Yeah. Well, and Hannah started with B when she was kind of really, I say it like as though B was in the room, but the tour was really starting to grow. Before Hannah and Sue, who was also there with Hannah, before they went in, there was no real wardrobe infrastructure in there. And they kind of went in and put all of this touring wardrobe infrastructure in. And then that was on the Mrs. Carter tour in 2013, I think, which was her last arena tour.
Got it.
And then they moved up into stadiums along with her. And then Hannah started dressing her towards the end. She's also worked for Alicia Keys. She's just finished Green Day.
Wow.
She was with Green Day this year.
I wish she was here. My goodness.
Me too.
What a star.
Yeah, she's much more interesting than I am.
Hey, this is great. Who is your favorite artist that you've gotten to work with?
So, favorite show, yes. I'll give you rather than favorite artist, and it's a show that you won't know, but I'll explain it to you. And it was a show called Peter Kay's Phoenix Nights.
Okay.
And we did 16 nights in Manchester Arena in the UK, and it was a charity. It was for a charity in the UK called Comic Relief. And Phoenix Nights, Peter Kay is a North of England comedian. He's massive in the UK. You guys have never heard of him, but in the UK he's huge. Wow. And he's actually on some record-breaking tour at the moment where he's, I think, playing something like 300 and odd dates or something ridiculous.
Yeah, look him up. Wow.
He's massive. But that show, Phoenix Nights, was a TV program that Peter did in the UK. Only did 2 seasons, but it was a funny TV program, and he decided that he wanted to do a stage version of it for Comic Relief. So that was my favourite show that I've ever worked on. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. Well, everybody, the main members of the cast were they were all comedians.
Oh, there you go.
So we had 10 comedians as principal characters for the show, and it was a real laugh.
Yeah.
It was a real laugh, and just everybody who came off it was so sad that it had finished. And there were rumours that there was going to be more, and then it never ended up happening, unfortunately. But that was my favourite show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The camaraderie, the humor of it, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Wow.
It was just, every day was just, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I wish I could go back, to be honest. It was brilliant. And we were all really sad that it was over when in a way
Maybe
that...
it will.
Well, I don't know. But in a way that I don't, I've been around the block and I don't really get upset about the end of productions and the like. But that one I really did. It was, by far my favourite. That's so
special. Can we talk about maybe typical wardrobe malfunctions that you see all the time? What are the fixes, and what is maybe the worst malfunction that you've ever experienced, or that your wife Hannah has ever experienced?
Well, the way to get around them is to generally construct them well in the first place.
To prevent.
Yeah, exactly. And oftentimes, what tends to happen, especially further down the chain, not so much on stadium artists, but further down the chain, what can end up happening is a stylist will bring a look in that's just that's just a street garment, that they've just gone and bought from wherever it is, whether it might be Gucci, it might be, Bloomingdale's,
Off-White, Supreme,
might be any of them, any of the above, and it's not fit for stage because it's not made for stage. A beautiful dress that you go and buy in a shop is made to walk down the street in. It's not made to go on stage and dance in or move in. It just isn't.
Right.
So the easy fixes, I say the easy fixes, but the easy fixes tend to be, things like reinforcing seams, or putting chunky zips in, nice big chunky zips, not the little invisible zips that they look pretty. Right. But one thing that Hannah always says to fairly major fashion houses is always, you might as well put the right zip in at the beginning, because otherwise we're going to take out this beautiful little zip that you've put in so daintily, and we're going to take it out quick, and we're going to put a new zip in, and it's going to go in quick. So you might as well just make it nice and pretty to begin with what we need it to look
nice
like.
And chunky for like a quick change too. I mean, to get in and out.
Exactly, because you some of those changes, like some of I think there was one of the Coachella changes where it was like 25 seconds or something, and like B came out with different coloured fingernails.
What?
As well.
Wait,
So,
what?
yeah, it was like, it was everything. It was everything. So you can imagine, you haven't got time to be messing about with little zips. You need to be able to see. You need the right fastenings. You need it to fix right to begin with. So that's the easy way.
I can't get over this fingernail thing. How did that happen?
I don't know, because I wasn't in there. That's why you need Hannah here and not me.
Next time.
Yeah. I'll give you a number.
25 seconds quick change. Yeah, you got to have everything prepared before.
Yes.
What happens? And I'm sure it can't happen where you go past 25 seconds. Like what happens if, you know what? I just remembered I was working Bonnaroo Festival in Tennessee, and Cardi B had a wardrobe malfunction in the middle of it. She went behind the stage and they just gave her a robe, and she was just wearing a robe for the rest of the time.
Cool.
Right? She did it well. She basically took off the robe too. It was wild. It's Cardi B.
That's Cardi.
That's Cardi. So, I guess worst case situation, you're in the middle of a performance. It is a mess. You just give them a robe. I mean, what do you do?
I've seen Hannah more than once, on more than one occasion, when a zip breaks, like a zip pops, because it does happen. If it can happen over time, when you constant use, or an artist is dancing vigorously in it night after night or whatever, zips break. It does happen. Nothing's infallible. So I've seen her on more than one occasion sewing someone's the back of somebody's costume, literally sewing them into it so that she can send them out on stage. Yeah.
And then you just rip them out?
Yeah, scissors straight up the back. Okay, new zip's going in tomorrow.
Yes.
But yeah, so.
Do you all work closely with the show designer, with management team, with the artist? What is that first that first stage with you guys look like?
It very much depends.
Okay.
Again, it depends on the size of the artist, how established they are, how established the designer is with the artist, what everybody needs, and every tour is different. at the moment, with Shakira, Hannah is very, she's talking daily with, she's working daily with the designer to make sure that, you know, the looks before they arrive, they have everything that they need. But I think she's able to do that now as well because of her stature within the industry. You know, 10 years ago, she wouldn't have been able to do that, and she wouldn't have been able, she wouldn't have been thought of being able to do that. Whereas now, because of the reputation that she's kind of gained for herself and within the industry, she's very much able to kind of do that now.
Is she drawing? Is she coming up with the ideas?
No, that's very much the designers.
Designers,
yeah,
got
the
it.
designers who do that. Or it could very well be sometimes the designer will go to, they'll go to Gucci, Versace, whoever it may be, Gaultier, whoever it is, and they'll say to them, listen, we've got this show coming up. Do you want to come up with a design? This is kind of what we're thinking. This is this is the flavour of what this section of the show is going to look like. Do you fancy doing a design?
Oh, very cool.
And then, you know, you get a beautiful design that comes back, looks nothing like how the artist looks, but, you know.
Yeah. And then
the gown looks pretty.
And then you guys make it happen and keep it happening.
Yes.
Throughout the tour.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. It's tough. And I think it's a role as well that can sometimes be underappreciated because, you know, these are roles that somebody like a Hannah or Lisa Bruno, who works for
Yes.
Lady Gaga,
Yep.
who I know you know, these are people who are in the room with the artist, you know, and you don't want, you want people who are going to keep the artist sane and calm and unruffled. You know, you don't want to put an energy in the room that you know puts the artist on edge. And so I think it can be sometimes quite an underappreciated role of wardrobe. You know, and especially as shows get bigger, the costumes get bigger, there ends up being more costumes. You know, artists who never used to change anything or didn't used to like changing costumes, so they might wear the same thing for the whole show, or they might change once. Now they're changing 7, 8, 9 times.
Wow.
Because they see it happening at the top. And
Interesting.
yeah, so I think, you know, it takes a lot of work to be able to maintain that many excuse me, to maintain that many costumes and looks. It can be really hard. You know, a show might have 80 to 100 costumes, not including doubles.
What?
So, yeah, you know, I think...
It's a lot to keep up with. Oh, and the dancers.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, I think there was a show that we did last year where I think there was nearly 2 full trailers of costume. It might be a trailer and a half, just of costume. You know, it's not an easy undertaking. Yeah, and I think I'm not saying always, because I don't think not every show is the same. Every show is different. As I say, there is no one size fits all. And just because I might be a good fit for a certain tour, that doesn't mean that I'm right for that tour.
Right.
It just means I'm right for this tour. Yeah. So it's tricky.
Yeah. Well, what's the future? What do you envision the future of Gopher Wardrobe?
Well, I see a time in the not too distant future where people will just come to us straight off the off, you know, in the same way that a production manager or a tour manager, production manager would come to Tate, you know, and say, they don't even think about it. They just come to Tate and they say, build our set.
It's the standard.
Yeah. And so I see in the very near future, you know, production managers, tour managers, artist managers, it won't be where do we go to get wardrobe people. It will be, oh, let's give Mike and Hannah at Go for Wardrobe a call and they'll sort it out, you know.
You heard it here first, everybody. You want to get into wardrobe? Get with Go for Wardrobe. If you need people for wardrobe, you get with Go for Wardrobe.
Pretty much.
Mike, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure getting to know you, and I'm excited to watch you guys over the next few years become the standard.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. I am so excited to introduce Lisa Bruno, a music industry veteran with over 25 years of experience working with legendary artists like Madonna, Ricky Martin, Aerosmith, and Lady Gaga. Lisa's versatile career spans wardrobe, talent support, production coordination, and artist care. She also owns a boutique backstage furniture rental company, combining creativity with logistical expertise to enhance live events. Lisa, welcome to the Gigs Podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's truly an honor. We have so much to get into. Your career is insane. The types of people you're working for in wardrobe is blowing my mind. I would love to go back to the very start of what got you into this and what was your start.
I probably started around 1996 or 97, and I started with a catering company called Eat Your Hearts Out, and which is owned by Debbie Sharp. She's here this weekend. And you could do a 40-hour work week in a weekend, and I was going to college at the time for fashion design. And so it would cater all this, you know, the shows that would come into the city of Chicago, any theater or arena or stadium, and I would be serving food to like anyone from wrestlers to like, you know, the Eagles or whatever. But you could do a 40-hour work week in a weekend, and because I was doing hospitality and because I was going to school for fashion, people would always be like, oh, well, if you can do hospitality and you can sew, you could do both these jobs and you can come on tour with us.
Yeah, no boundaries.
Yeah.
Just do it all.
And I was like, oh my God, of course I can. You don't even have to pay me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And so, yeah, that's how that all got started.
So you then were in production or hospitality on tour while managing wardrobe too.
Yeah.
Who was that first artist?
Well, actually, it was Ricky Martin.
Okay.
And we would do dressing rooms and we would also do wardrobe. But my boss, she would focus on Ricky, and me and my partner at the time, Liz, she and I would focus on all the other talent, like the backing vocalists, the band, and the dancers. And so, God, being like 19, 20, like just getting to travel the world, and that was like the peak of his career. That was really major to start off like that.
Travel the world. How old were you?
19 or 20. I think I turned 21 in Seoul, Korea or something. Yeah. So.
Yeah, you were in the industry. Yeah. You were not leaving.
Yeah.
What was next? What was your next move after Ricky Martin?
I had to finish college.
Okay.
Because it was in between everything.
Oh my God. What were you studying?
Fashion design.
Okay.
And so I had to go back to school on and off. And I was still doing catering. I was still doing local work in Chicago. And my friend Liz was done with school, and she started with Aerosmith. So then she's like, you know, we need somebody to fill in. The other girl got hurt. And I was like, oh, I could fill in for like a couple weekends. And I was with them for 7 years.
Wow.
So me and my friend Liz got to work with them, and that was huge because they had put out maybe 2 albums when I was with them, and We did a lot of world traveling. So then, we finished off with Aerosmith, and then I was like, I wanted to get into something else besides wardrobe. So, and in between, that's when I met Gina, and we were, I think like in between, I did production for Sting, and then Gina and I started local stuff with the Jay-Z and R. Kelly tour. What was it called? Best of Both Worlds. And then it turned just into Jay-Z and Friends because of R. Kelly.
Oh, gosh.
And, but in the interim, we both went to beauty school to get our licenses because we're like, oh, maybe we can do like hair and makeup on tour too. So, to be more marketable.
Of course.
And, God, and then...
So let's hold on. We're going too fast. Yeah. Tell me about like what was that experience like with Jay-Z, R. Kelly?
Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible.
Why?
It just wasn't really.
Not your people.
No, it wasn't organized. We worked with a really great production manager and promoter, but it's just everything. It was just not organized. And the fact that you changed what the theme of the tour was right in the middle.
Oh.
It's like you just added 14 different acts now that change from city to city, So it was a lot,
Oh my gosh.
It was a lot of adapting.
And for that, I'm assuming you have dancers. You have a lot of people you're taking care of, wardrobe-wise, and hospitality too.
But for that one, I was only doing hospitality. I didn't touch wardrobe. And we were doing all the dressing rooms for everybody coming in and out. So that was like 14 rooms at a time.
Oh my gosh.
And then sometimes some of the artists wouldn't leave until like 3 o'clock in the morning, and the last truck is waiting for you, and everybody's hating on you because, they have to wait because of the artist.
Because the artist.
Yeah.
All right, so y'all were in hell for that.
Mm-hmm.
What was next for you?
I don't remember. Oh my gosh. There's like, oh, I know. I did White Snake, wardrobe and dressing rooms. And
okay.
What a classic rocker David Coverdale is, and the most wonderful man to work for. Probably not to say one of the best tours I've been on, but it was just a really fun tour.
Amazing.
It was a very intimate tour because there weren't a lot of us, but we got to travel everywhere, and it was, it was a great tour. So I did that, and then I think I took a little hiatus and finished school, went and did. I got a call from Charlie Hernandez to do the Police tour.
Whoa.
The Police World Tour. So that was great. That was amazing. I was doing dressing rooms and dabbled into a little bit of wardrobe on that.
Got it.
And then
what were you enjoying more at that time? Was it wardrobe or was it hospitality?
I liked doing the hospitality and the ambiance because I like seeing a shitty room and turning it into something really amazing, And then when somebody walks in, they're super appreciative because they know that it's a fucked up locker room, or just a hole in the wall,
And that is I did dressing rooms, and it wasn't. I think you really have to have that creative talent and desire to really transform a space. I wasn't very good at it.
Oh.
I was good at stalking. I was good at operations of it. But the design part is really admirable. And so, you were doing that to human beings too with the wardrobe. You were designing them. So that was okay. So then, what were the biggest challenges that you were facing at that point when you're doing dressing rooms, when you're doing wardrobe? What were the things that made you pause or gave you the hardest time during those years?
Nothing. Oh, dude, that was our free, that was
fun.
Yeah, that's when we could be wanderlust, just gypsies and run around and have disposable income and
right.
I was working within my dating pool, that was amazing too, and It was just,
Good times.
I was living a life that, like, not a lot of people get to do, and it doesn't seem like work. They're 18-hour days, but they're your own 18-hour days. You run them. It's not like you're like sitting at a desk. I have to clock in. I get a 15-minute break. Then I go to lunch. Then I get another 15-minute break. No, it's like you're running hard, but you don't know how hard you're running because you just have to make these like small goals throughout the day. And then it's like, and then you have that pride because you get a little piece of what it's like, when you see an audience like go totally batshit crazy.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, I had like a little bit to do with that. Just a little,
Oh, yeah. And I mean, yeah, that's, so how many years were you doing that kind of in the perfect job for you?
God, probably, I would say the best of like 15 to 17 years. Yeah.
Wow.
And then, I started getting into my groove of like, okay, I'm not, I wanted to buy a place. I wanted to maybe settle down a little bit, not travel as much. But then it's like you just, another job comes around and you're like, oh, I want to work for that artist or I want to do this. And, so.
Yeah, you got the bug. You can't get off.
Yeah. And so we just kept going. And I met my husband on tour.
Ooh, which tour?
Madonna, Sticky and Sweet.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was a video guy, and I was doing the dressing rooms at the time. And, it was like a little...
How did that blossom?
Very secretively.
I was about to say.
Yeah, nobody knew, only because I never wanted to fuck up at my job and somebody say I was distracted, and he was the same way, so... like we would just meet up at like gay bars just because we knew like the crew, like, all these like machismo guys would not be there.
Right.
And the only people that knew that we were together were like all the
at the gay
guys.
bars.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so... I'll keep your secret if you keep mine.
Right.
So.
What a fun tour romance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how long did that tour run?
That went for a good year.
Okay.
And then I did Stone Temple Pilots after that.
Nice.
And then I started Lady Gaga.
Girl.
Yeah. I started Lady Gaga. She was just doing the Fame Ball, and she was just getting started. And that's when she was not doing theaters anymore and she started into arenas. And so that's when I started working with Jason Danter and doing wardrobe for her. And yeah.
What the hell is that like?
It's insane, but like you're exposed to so many amazing designers and like you can't even believe you're like, you're handling like a Philip Tracy hat or, a Vivienne Westwood piece or, Wow. Yeah.
What, take me through what a typical day looks like on tour with Lady Gaga as wardrobe.
If it's a stadium tour or an arena tour, it really differs because it's like the size of the show, the size of the cast, and like how much we have to prep. But usually I'll go in on a rigging day or a loading day just to prep the room, to make sure everything is together, to make sure we have like all the appropriate power, lighting, space. We need washers and dryers. We need to advance dry cleaners, things like that, because we have to turn over stuff in such a small amount of time. And usually we travel with, A and B and sometimes C sets in case anything gets damaged, lost, stolen, or, somebody doesn't fit into something anymore, or we have to recreate something. So I'll go on like a pre-rig day, and then I'll come in early on show day when everybody else comes in, and everybody like knows their task almost. Like I leave everybody alone. Like you're taking care of the guys, you take care of the girls, you take care of the band, you know, you take care of the laundry, and like, and maybe we'll go to lunch later, you know?
Maybe.
Yeah. And, you know, or we'll eat lunch, you know, in wardrobe or whatever. And we always call wardrobe the kitchen because it's like where all the gossip comes through. And it's like the wardrobe department isn't like A party and it isn't B party. It's C party. But we're like in this constant like state of purgatory because we're in between all parties because we have to, you know, work all together, you know? And so we know everything about everyone all at once. So it's like, it's the kitchen. So,
I want to watch a TV show about that.
Yeah.
Fun.
It could very well be a reality show.
Yep. That's wow. It's the kitchen.
But we're working up all until, you know, a certain point where we have to get then the quick changes ready and build those.
Got it.
And that's like the underworld underneath the stage, you know, set up for that. Then, you know, then we're doing presets and pre-show and dressing everybody for the start of the show. Then we're dressing everybody during the show, doing quick changes then. And then
how many hands do you have for this? Quick changes.
Again, it depends. For the principal artist, there's usually a hair and makeup person in there, and then there's usually 2 to 3 people helping change. Wow. And then for dancers, there's one person assigned to each the male and females, and then one person is assigned to the band, and then we have local help as well.
Damn. How many quick changes is typical for a show?
I mean, like typical,
a Gaga show. Yeah.
Typical would be like, for a Gaga show, it's always different. Like on Born This Way, I think we had 13 changes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. and that one was a very designer driven tour where we had like Moschino doing one set, Versace doing another scene, Armani doing something else. And so like it was a lot, and like it was a lot.
Yeah.
But usually it's a good five changes.
Are you also back there kind of managing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're dressing principal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like making sure everybody else is good. Or if like she's saying like, you know, if something happens, like, okay, I need like 2 more minutes, like waste some time, I'll run to them, like, you know, let them know and da-da-da. Or if there's some sort of like malfunction going on stage, you know, I'll go to the sound guys and I'll be like, you know, tell her in her ears or tell the dancers in their ears, like to go help so-and-so to, you know.
Yes, that's my next question is the malfunctions.
Yeah.
How do you know, can you talk about a time where there was a malfunction you had
Oh my God, you totally cringe. And you're like, no. I mean, I'm Born This Way, she like blew out her whole ass in like a Versace jumpsuit. And Versace was there. It was a Vancouver show. And Versace was there. And we kept on telling Versace, you have to put a certain kind of zipper and stitch it a certain kind of way. And they're like, yeah, you know, whatever. Yeah, sure, yeah. And they didn't, but they were also working up to the last minute. So it was just like cross your fingers and boom. But like she works with it. Like she
professional.
Yeah, she's like she doesn't care.
Wow.
And no, it's like
she makes that fashionable.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's oh gosh. And so yeah, I can't even imagine, you know, everyone under the stage. We're like, what do we do? You know, have you ever had an artist run off the stage to get something fixed, hop back out? Or they just kind of run with it? Or you are just so prepared before that?
You know, I'm sure it probably did happen. I just can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just like, it's like a dance down there. Like everybody has something going on up there, but there's like there's a routine going on down there, and everything is timed like to the cue. of what needs to happen. And like, okay, you can put these, like even down to like the laundry, like put these in now because then they'll be done by the end of loadout, and then we don't have to clean that, and blah, 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 or send that out. And
You're part of you're a performer. I mean, you're part of the whole performance of it all.
Yeah.
That is incredible. What is your favorite part of the job?
Working with my friends. Because I've made like the closest relationships next to my sister on these jobs, because you live your personal life and your professional life together.
Yeah.
And like we could just read each other's minds, you know? And I think that that's my favorite part. Like, and you never feel alone then,
Yeah. Oh, you got your people. Mm-hmm. So if you ever hop to different tours, do you bring your people with you?
Typically.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And sometimes you can't. And then you make new relationships with people. But, typically you stay with the same, because you just know. Everybody just knows, like, what to do. And, like, I might have a weakness in one part where she has a strength in another. And, like, it works, like yin yang kind of deal.
What's next for you?
Well, I now have 2 children.
Incredible.
Yes,
How old?
4 and 9.
No.
And so, you can't really tour as much, 9 months out of the year. You can't really do that. But Gina and I started a company where we do hospitality and ambiance, and where we started a furniture rental company that's like more boutique and specialized for, artists coming in to either theaters, arenas, or stadiums, and just to like make them feel at home, and like to provide a little bit of more consistency, when they're coming, going from town to town to town.
Right. Yeah.
And we're lucky enough to know a lot of people that are still on the road, and creating new relationships with newcomers that, okay, I can meet you in the next city, like if it's not so far, like, okay, I could do Chicago, I could do Detroit, I could do St. Louis, I could, and that makes for, it's better for everybody all around, because the product that you're going to get every city, and the kind of labor you're going to get, and, and you get to see everybody.
Are you in every major market?
No. I have another friend that is working out of Nashville.
Got it.
And another friend that works out of the East Coast.
Amazing.
And we started off in Las Vegas because it was just right before COVID. Residencies were just ramping up there.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. And we were doing wardrobe and ambiance. And COVID hit. We thought, it was just so unpredictable. We didn't know what was going to happen, 1 month to the next. And we're like, oh, this show was, an usher came to town, and he was doing like the Coliseum.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, we'll just do this one. And, and then we'll see where it goes. And then once the industry started coming back, it came back hard.
Oh, yeah.
Like in like triple time, because they were just making up for lost time. And like, honestly, we haven't had a chance to breathe, and it's been really good for us. So we're taking it, we're just rolling with it.
Congrats.
Thank you.
What is, your vision for what you guys already have? You have so much going on already. What is your vision for, the next couple of years?
We would like to have like a little pop-up or a home in Lititz, because I'm saying that on the technology side, it's all here, but nobody like back a house, it's untapped. And I think there's a lot of like unicorns that need to be found like in this area, because I think there needs to be more people doing what we do.
True.
Because not a lot of people, like not a lot of guys sew anymore. Right. Shoemaking, like hat and it's so creative, what we do. And on a theater aspect and costume aspect, yes, but like live entertainment, like the productions are only getting bigger, you know, and like even interior design wise, if you're making the artist so comfortable that they will bring their children with them on tour.
Right.
And they will do a 2-year tour. And that means work for like 180 people, you know,
Exactly.
locally and, you know.
Yeah. You're helping
Touring.
them enjoy the road.
Yeah.
That's a huge, oh man, that's a huge job. And, you know, that's a goal with gigs, is to get people who are younger to start out in the industry of in high school and out of college. If they love design, if they love wardrobe, ambiance, why not live production? It's just, people just don't know. You know, I don't think we're fully losing those trades. How do we just get it out to more people, you know?
I don't think it's for the faint of heart though. Like
Yeah.
you have to know going in. It's not like, you know, stars and sunflowers and all that. It's like 18-hour days. And there's going to be ups and downs. There's
Right.
going to be chaos. There's going to be tears. There's going to be some bruises. But, you know, the reward is, you know, amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been wonderful talking with you and knowing you. This was so fun learning about your world. And we'll make sure to link everything so people can find you.
Awesome.
But thank you for this, and thank you for the just pure audio. This was great. And now we can enjoy the rest of our Lititz night. Thank you,
Yay.
guys.
Thank you.